Hi, and welcome back to my channel. And in this video, I'm going to show you how you can configure Fortinet ZTNA for your remote users, and also be able to ensure that you authenticate through SAML authentication, integrating FortiGate and FortiAuthenticator to provide SAML authentication for your remote users. So you'll be able to, assign each resources to the authorized user based on the SAML group that they belong to. And if you look at this diagram, we have a very simple diagram where all of our servers, web servers, and other tools are behind FortiGate firewall. So I'm going to explain how this is going to work and most of the things you need to look out for when configuring this. So the first thing is that we have a network behind the FortiGate firewall where we have the authenticator and also we have the FortiClient EMS. Then we have our Windows AD and web server. So all this, we are going to integrate FortiGate and FortiAuthenticator to provide SAML authentication for the remote users, while FortiClient is also will be integrated with FortiGate to be able to ensure we have zero trust tags and also have some information about the users to be able to leverage on some level of compliance based on based on the zero trust tags we are going to assign to users. So if you look at what I have here, I've defined most of the things that needed to be done. Majorly, we need the EMS telemetry, the EMS FortiClient installer protocol to be up and running. Then we need FortiAuthenticator to have FQDN, FortiGate SP, and FortiGate the web server we're trying to access for the remote users. So if you look at this place, yeah, we need public IP addresses, most especially for all these services outside. And for each of these services, you need to have a FQDN, fully qualified domain name, for them for the sake of simplicity. But in this video, I'm going to use the IP addresses, but in a production environment, you need FQDN to be resolvable to those public IP addresses. So, for instance, the telemetry service uses port 8030, and we're using a public IP address of 102.168.202.123 for that service. This ensures that the FortiClient agent installed on the remote users, the agent itself is able to form a consistent connection with the EMS behind the FortiGate. This is a very primary preliminary setup that needs to be done so that each of your end users would agents installed on their system or endpoint can always have connection to the EMS server to receive policies, profiling, tags, and all that, which I'm going to demonstrate in the lab. So it's very important, and you need a fully qualified domain name to be resolvable to the IP addresses you're going to use. I'm going to show you how you're going to set up the VIP for this. So I think there needs to be one more column to the right that talks about VIP, that talks about this. They are setting this up as VIP. That is virtual IP, which is a form of DNAT on the firewall. So if you're using a FortiClient EMS installed on-prem in your private network, private data center, or also you will need to be able to set this up for the EMS telemetry. Then this is also including the installer as well. So this installer needs to be also set up. Why? Because which operate on port 10443, so that when this user gets maybe an email address from the EMS to install FortiClient, the address will be redirected to this installer's FQDN address for the remote users to be able to install the agent successfully. So this is also a VIP. DNAT has to be done on the FortiGate firewall. Then the FortiAuthenticator as well. We need to also have a FQDN for the FortiAuthenticator and an IP address. A VIP also needs to be done, a DNAT on FortiGate. I'm going to illustrate that in the video. Then the FortiGate SP, this is the FortiGate service provider that the SAML authentication will listen on. We need to also ensure that this IP address we're going to use is also able to, this way it get tricky, but we need to, I'm going to show you how this works. So we need to ensure that the FortiGate SP has an FQDN that is resolvable to an IP address, on the FortiGate as well, within the network. Then this would be ZTNA configuration, which will be included. It doesn't have an internal IP yet, and this same FortiGate SP will be one of the ZTNA gateway, which will be here. It will be ZTNA gateway that we are going to use for our first server for our first application to respond to SAML authentication. Then we can now use that going forward. So this is also going to be on port 999443, and it's going to be a ZTNA configuration as well. So we're going to create two groups on FortiAuthenticator. The first one is sales and the second one is finance remote group, pulling them from the LDAP server and creating them on the FortiGate. So by the time we are done, user A, which is maybe Boale or from sales, will be able to reach server 1, web server 1, and it won't be able to reach web server 2. It will have a deny error page because it doesn't have the access to privilege to access it. While user B will have access to a web server 2, but it will be denied access to web server 1 based on the configuration we are going to do. So the bone of the content is ensuring that we have a ZTNA server access for our remote users to our internal applications or server, and they should be able to have SAML authentication with two-factor authentication in place for them, which makes life seamless for the remote user. So let's go on. So we'll take it one after the other. So let's begin by highlighting the major tasks we are going to do in order to make this work. The first thing is we're going to integrate FortiAuthenticator to your LDAP server, create two groups and all that. So let's follow these steps one after the other. So FortiAuthenticator is up. Let's integrate FortiAuthenticator to LDAP server. So go to your FortiAuthenticator. Then on the FortiAuthenticator dash page, come to authentication, come to remote auth server, and come to LDAP. On LDAP, create new, then name it you can give it any name, then put the IP address of your LDAP server there, which is mine is this. Then the distinguished name will be your domain name and also the other extensions, which is DC equals your domain and the other one, which is .com or .local. Then in the binding type, we want to use regular and use username and password. I'll use my username with a service account with a privilege, a level of admin privilege. Then the password. Then once this is done, let's try and browse and see. Now we'll see that we're able to connect to the LDAP server on port 389. Then click OK. So this is working. We leave every other thing as default. So we'll still come back to that. Once this is set up, we just click save. And once this is saved, we have the Forti Authenticator integrated with our LDAP server. So that's the first task. So now we've integrated FortiAuthenticator to LDAP server. The next thing is we need to import the users, import remote users. So let's import remote users from the LDAP server into FortiAuthenticator. So go to user management under FortiAuthenticator, authentication, user management, then remote users. So under here, you'd see LDAP, radius, SAML, attackers. Then one of these you want to do is just import. So in importing, you select the LDAP server, which is the one you currently integrated, and you said import users. Once you click this, all these users will be imported. You see, I have 6 users here, which is administrator, Bawale, SIM, guest, tools. I'm still going to create more and import for the sake of this video. So click OK. Once you click OK, all the users will be imported. So we have our users imported. Then the next thing for us to do is to create 2 groups and assign users to each of those groups. Then we have to provision FortiToken. But before we do this, I'll need to set up email server, email communication gateway on the FortiAuthenticator, so that we can be able to ensure that our users get email addresses for their FortiAuthenticator, FortiToken rather. So come to systems, then go to administration, messaging, then you see email services. Then we need to set up something SMTP server. On SMTP server, you create new SMTP email. Then we need your SMTP server address to be so as to really email for the FortiAuthenticator. I don't have one yet. I'll just use a generic one, but this is very needful for the sake of authentications and all that. So we would put the email address we want here, and also just put I'm not sure this will work because I don't have a email SMTP server to relay address. So you have to test your connection and see, this has to give a status of sent. So once this is set up for for your email communication, then let's now create 2. So we need to create 2 groups and assign users to each of those groups, and also provision FortiToken for them. Then come to FortiAuthenticator, come to authentication, come to remote users, user groups. Under user groups, create 2 groups. The first one is the sales group. Then I'm going to select the remote LDAP and select the server, and also we see set a list of imported remote LDAP server. This is very important. So you select this particular one, and also just select user. For sales group, I'm selecting Bawale and I'm putting into the choosing LDAP server group. You can select multiple servers that you want them to belong to this group, which is fine. Then the next thing is come to radius attribute, and under radius attribute, add radius attribute. Then vendor, you had Fortinet. Then the group name, you had Fortinet group name. Then under here, you put the same value that you have here and insert it here. Then you click save. Then we also create another group for finance. So we have finance. Then same way. Then let's select this administrator as one of our users for finance. Then radius Fortinet group name. Please be ensured that you have spell this correctly. Finance, okay. Then save. So we've been able to, create two group and I said, so let's provision FortiToken for a user. So coming here, you come to remote users, double click on administrator. Then one of the things you want to do is just enable one-time password authentication for them and select FortiToken and mobile and select the token. You would have you need license for more FortiToken. You need to purchase license for more FortiToken and install it on FortiAuthenticator, so you have a list of FortiToken to share with your users. So deliver code by FortiToken activation method you can use. So this will now be useful. Activation method, delivery method will be email. So once you do this, an email will be sent to the user to scan the code. There will be a barcode that the user will scan to be able to install the FortiToken on the user. So we have it done. Then the next thing we want to do is to also, now we have done these three tasks. So now let's set up FortiClient EMS for telemetry remote connection. So before we do this, we need to integrate FortiClient EMS with FortiGate. So if you haven't watched my video, I have a video for this. So for the sake of time, I won't repeat this. I'll put the link. Just look up this video. You'll see the link for how to integrate FortiClient EMS. So this has to be done. Now let's set up FortiClient EMS telemetry remote connection for FortiClient users. What this means is that for remote users, we need a situation whereby the FortiClient agents on their system that will be installed on their system should be able to consistently communicate with the FortiClient EMS, which we installed, on the server on-prem. So, and the best way to do that is to ensure that we have a public IP address, do a form of DNAT to the private IP address of the FortiClient EMS on this port 8013, which is the telemetry port for ZTNA connection. So, like I mentioned, you need to ensure that you have an FQDN, that will be resolved to your public IP address, which is very, very important. But for the sake of this video, I don't have an FQDN. I'll use the public IP address that I have. So now, log into FortiGate. On FortiGate device, no, before FortiGate, let's log into FortiClient EMS. So on FortiClient EMS, we need to go to user and go to system settings, EMS settings. So on EMS settings, we have listing on IP. What this means is that your what's it called? Both your on-prem users and remote users needs an IP addresses that they will be listing on. If you check here, this has the internal IP address of the FortiClient EMS, but I selected all so that we can be able to use the FQDN that we created to access, those stuff. So this is where you paste the FQDN. This FQDN is very important so that you can be able to enforce user verification for your remote users, that they can be able to authenticate and share when you share their email with them for invitation. They'll be able to use the invitation code to connect to the FortiClient EMS. So we'll put the FQDN here. Then at this point, So you put the FQDN here. Then at this point, we also scroll down. We also have to come to so you see FortiClient download URL. This is once the email is sent to your users, they need a URL at which they can download the installer. So you want to select the FQDN that you set up there, and with the port 10443 as well. Then here as well, you want to enforce user verification, so that once user connects, they can authenticate and with their LDAP credentials and all that. So everything is good here. Majorly those are things you're meant to do. Then you click. You can also, the host name here can be changed to EMS, anything you want to give it that would also align with your subdomain and FQDN. So now on FortiGate, we want to create a DNAT and with what we've already configured. So go to network, firewall policies, policies and objects, VIP. So on VIP, you create new. Let's create new. So let's name it EMS telemetry. So under this, we have the external IP address, which is from here we have 102.123.102.223. So we copy that. Then we go to the FortiGate. This is an external facing public IP address. Then don't forget that your FQDN will be resolving to this IP address. So you need to go to your control panel wherever you're hosting your domain and ensure that the FQDN resolves to this. Then the internal IP address will be this. Then paste it here. Then want to do port forwarding, which is on port 8013. So we have 8013, and internal port should be 8013 as well. So click OK. So once this is done, go to firewall policies, create new, then name it EMS telemetry. Then incoming interface will be your WAN interface. Then outgoing interface will be the interface where the EMS belongs to, which is for me this is port 1, then 15.AR. Then source will be all, definitely, and destination will be EMS telemetry. Then once that is done, services, because we did port forwarding, we can leave it as all because we only respond on that port. But for the sake of production, you want to create your service as 443 as 8013. So put it as 8013 8013. Then click OK. So we have that. Then continue with every other thing, sessions, click OK. So now we have this as a NAT. Yeah. Then now there is another thing we also need to do, which is FortiClient EMS installer, which means that when we send an email or to a remote user by inviting them, they will definitely get the email and how to download the FortiClient and install it. And the URL that will be in that email would be this FQDN with the ports. So we need to set it up, so which needs to resolve to this IP address and the ports. So going to FortiGate again, virtual IP, you can clone this. then call it EMS, FortiClient installer. Then we still have this. What will change is the port 10.4.3, 10.4.3. Click OK. So we have this. Now we need to create a firewall policy for that. We can copy this and paste upward, paste above. So we have a copy of that. So we just edit as EMS FortiClient installer. So now these are done, most especially for your remote users. So we have incoming interface, outgoing interface, then destination will change to the EMS installer. So afterwards, we also need to create a service port for this, which is 10.4.3. So you have to create it, services 10.4.3, 10.4.3, 10.4.3. So click OK. Then we have this, then NATs, then log traffic and enable the policy, which is okay. Now we have these two. So now we have these two tasks done. So now we have these two tasks done. So we need to test it. And the way to test it is go to FortiClient, your FortiClient EMS, then go to the invitations. You see invitations here. We need to send out invitations to your users. And in setting up invitations, don't forget, before we send out invitations, we need to integrate FortiClient EMS with your domain LDAP. So this needs to be installed and integrate with your LDAP. If you haven't watched how I do that, I have a video on how to integrate FortiClient with LDAP server and also do that. So with this, you can be able to ensure that all your users are within the domain and they can be able to authenticate when you send them the information. So you can watch it. I have a playlist of that, so you just go check it out. Then go to invitation. Under invitation, we create add. So here we create let's say remote users. Then we have the FQDN that we created. Now we need to create an installer under this. So create plus, then let's name it remote users. So definitely your FortiClient EMS should have access to the internet. During the installation of FortiClient EMS, we have to create a gateway for that, which I did. You can watch the video as well. It's a part of the playlist. So select and also let it have the latest patch. You can also ensure that you have an auto update to latest patches and all that. Then click next. So ensure all these are selected because they are very important. You might not need them or you might not activate them at the end of the day, but let them just be checked. FortiClient is a unified agent that supports different form of security services, and which is very useful, both endpoint protection, vulnerability scanning for patching, security, endpoint security, anti-ransomware, single sign-on mobility agent, and all sort of functionality, including zero trust network access. So all these are enabled. So click next. So let's enable shortcut for the user and also include MSI installer files Then every other thing can be left as default. Just click next, then finish. So once this is done, you click verification type. So under verification type, I want to use domain, which is our domain, and click. So once you save, you'd see that FortiClient has the invitation code set for your users. Then you can now send. So you can have a couple of users to send to, and let's send to someone which is so once this is done, click send. Email like this will be sent to you, and you would see activation, and you see how to download the FortiClient. And afterward, you'll see the invitation code. You can copy the invitation code after you're done downloading after you're done downloading the agent and installing it on your system. So in doing that, so after copying it, once you're able to, the user has been able to install the FortiClient, and your fully qualified domain name for your EMS server is in place, then and you've been able to set it up from the EMS settings, and the user needs to now paste the code in this box for the invite code, then click on connect. The user has been able to successfully connect, and when you come to FortiAuthenticator and you come to dashboard, and you see we have a one user account, and we can also come to all endpoints and see the user as well. So this is the user connecting from the home and all that. So in coming to endpoint policies, managed policies, we will talk about this in the video. So now that's setting up a connection for the first phase, which is this. So we've set up these two. Now we need to now ensure FortiAuthenticator has a fully qualified domain name and is resolving to our IP address. So on this port 443 and all that. So for this port, external port, let's use external port as port 1243 for the sake of security, and internal port will be 443. So now let's set up the DNAT. On DNAT, let's go to virtual IP, then so just same way we did it back FortiAuthenticator then the public IP address is what we initially put there, and the private IP address is 10.15.13.24, and we'll do port forwarding as well. External port is 12443 and internal port is 443. So for this, so for access, and we also create the firewall policy for the DNAT, which is coming to FAC access, edit. You see, this is the FAC access for, and incoming interface has to be the WAN interface, and the local interface has to be the admin interface. Source is all. Destination is the VIP objects that we created, and we also, for the sake of security, enabled only HTTP and HTTPS services, and also leave every other thing as default, and click OK. So we've been able to do that. We are building up to the gates. Now we need to set up the FortiGate SP for SAML authentication. So here is very important because once a user is trying to access maybe any of these services, the SP authentication, the FortiGate SP will be listening to capture the user's traffic in order to redirect the user to the IDP, which is the FortiAuthenticator login page, and after that the user can be able to log in and have access to whatever resources we want them to have access to. So on FortiGate, we'll head straight to user and authentication, then go straight to single sign-on. Under single sign-on, we want to create new, name it SAML authentication. Then the IP address here we are going to use is this 10 dots 102 dots that we're going to use dot 5, which is the IP address that is part of your public IP address that you're using. Then if the port at 9443. Now, so before we go, let's go to FortiAuthenticator. So let's go ahead. Click on certificates. You need to install a certificate that is CA, which is unique to your organization. But for here, we are going to use the default one, which is this. Now on this page, before we go ahead, let's go to FortiAuthenticator. On FortiAuthenticator, we want to go to certificate management and end entities and local services. Yeah, you need to import a certificate into this place, which is unique to your organization, which is a certificate that would authenticate the handshake between your IDP and the FortiGate service provider address. But for this case, I don't have one. I have to use the default one. So here I have to download and export this so that I can install it on the FortiGate device. So I've downloaded this. Then you come to authentication and go to authentication, SAML IDP, and general. Under general, you want to enable that this is toggled on. Then because you have a FQDN for FortiAuthenticator, it has to be inserted here, and the FQDN has to resolve to this public IP address that you're giving here. For the sake of this video, I will just put the IP address instead of the FQDN. Using FQDN is very, very essential for this in production environment. So the FortiAuthenticator public IP address is 124 on ports 12443. So let's go to okay. So we have it here. So your FortiAuthenticator FQDN is meant to be here, but for the sake of this video, we're using IP address. So now we leave it every other thing as default. Use default RAM if the user provided does not match any of these configured RAMs. So we need to also create a RAM for our remote users, but every other thing here will be left as default. So let's quickly create a RAM. So go to user management, go to RAMs, and under this place you create new, and you name it remote users. Then you select the LDAP server and also just click save. So we have a RAM already, and under this RAM we come to authentication again. Go to authentication, then go to under authentication, go to SAML IDP and go to service provider. So under service provider, we'll create new as well. So here name it SAML SP. So this certificate will use the default one, but you need to select the one that you installed on your FortiAuthenticator. We want this to also be part of the single logout. Then under create an identifier for this IDP, click the plus button and just select random, then click OK. So under here, we'll see the IP address or the FQDN for the FortiAuthenticator. Then after that, you come to authentication method, all configured password and all OTP factors will ensure that your user uses their password and OTP for authentication. Then under here, we want to be able to, include attributes, assertion attribute. Yeah, for the SAML attribute, you use username and add another one for the group. So you use group and just say group. So we have the user as assertion attribute that will be, included in the handshake. After you're done, click save. So once you click save, you see this entity, SP entity ID pop up. So what you want to do is go to your FortiGate. Under this FortiGate, you copy this IP address. You copy this entity ID. So Ctrl C and paste here. Then go back. You see HTTPS for assertion consumer service URL. Then paste here. Then go back and Ctrl C, then paste. So you need to ensure that all this matches what you have on this SP metadata page. So once all that is concluded, we'll just click on save. Then the next thing is to go to your user source. Under user source, you want to create new user source and select your RAM as remote user RAM, then filter RAM by groups. So we'll click on finance and click on sales. So we have these two loaded, then click save. So now we have a RAM that we've already selected and we're good to go. Then go back to your FortiGate. Then under here, put the IP address of the IP address and the FQDN rather of your FortiAuthenticator and just input it here. This has to be an FQDN and this has to be an FQDN as well. Because once you are here, you can't use IP. You can't use IP address for FortiGate SP and FQDN for the IDP. It has to be either IP address and IP address or FQDN and FQDN. So your FortiGate SP SAML has to be able to. You need to create an FQDN for it on your control panel where you're hosting your domain to be able to resolve to this IP address as well. So once that is done, the FQDN will be inserted here instead of the IP address that we have here. So we have the prefix. So go back to FortiAuthenticator, service provider, and we have this guy. So just copy the prefix. Just see, then come back here, paste. Then we need to select a certificate. Click on the plus certificate. Upload the certificates we downloaded earlier, which is on the FortiGate, which is this. Then install it. Click OK. Click OK. So we have it here. Under attribute, we need to pass a user attribute and a group attribute that we did on the FortiAuthenticator. So once all this is done, click OK. So we have this, setup. The next thing is to go to policy and objects, then go to authentication. Let's create an authentication rule. create an authentication scheme first. So we create an authentication scheme, call it ZTNA SAML. Then the authentication method would be SAML. Then you select the SSO server, SAML SSO server, and leave other thing as default. So once this is created, go to the rule, create, then name it SAML, ZTNA SAML, and click on address as all, incoming interface as your internet, internet facing one, internet facing port, which is this. Then protocol HTTP scheme. We need to select the scheme that we, let's address this. Select the scheme, then click OK. You need to disable IP-based authentication and just click OK. So this has been set up. The next thing is to create your group. So just like you have it there, you come to VPN, user authentication, come to groups, select groups and call it sales, sales group. Then add the group, SAML authentication, specify the group name here as sales. Don't forget it has to match. Click OK, then click OK. Then create another group for finance. Then add the group, relate SAML authentication, finance. Okay, then click OK. So we've created two groups. Then we need to now create the first ZTNA gateway, which will come to so before we go ahead and create the first ZTNA gateway, we need to go to FortiClient EMS and set up some attribute of zero trust tags that we need to ensure that our user security posture tags. Then come to tagging rules. So on this page, we want a situation that all of our users will have, up-to-date antivirus. They have to be connected to the domain and they have to be operating from a certain operating system for them to be able to, have that level of access to some of the applications we'll give them. So the next thing is, so you need to, let's create new, add, then go to antivirus, enabled. So we'll also just name these tags as antivirus enabled. Then select these tags. Then we have under add rule, we need to add rule. So here the rule is that antivirus software is the root type is antivirus software. Then we have to, you can select whether what you want to check is antivirus software is installed and running or the signature is up to date. We'll leave it as this, as is running, and click save. You can also click this, but just for the sake of this video, we'll leave it as that. Then the next thing is that you want to ensure that maybe another security posture check you want to add is so if you look at here, if you look at add rule, we have a lot of security posture check you can put in place for your users and ensure that they are compliant with the organization's rules and policies. So I've done the antivirus software. Another thing that we want to also ensure is they have they are connected to EMS. They are being managed by our EMS. Then click save and we'll click EMS managed. Then copy this, paste. Then we click OK, save. Then one more thing is that once certain operating system, they have to be operating on Windows 11 again. So we can say Windows 11, select tags as Windows 11. Then add your rule, then take it as OS version, then Windows 11. You can also enable latest check updates, but let's just leave it at that. So we have our Windows tag enabled. So coming to tag monitors, you can from here see some of the users that are already compliant with what you have, and so go to so we need to go to endpoint policy, or no, endpoint profiles, and under endpoint profiles we need to go to system settings. You can use the default and you can add new. For the sake of this video, I'll use the default. So edit the default on system settings. Then you want to ensure that click on advanced. You want to ensure that, so here you can require password to disconnect from EMS. Click it. Once you click it, users will not be able to disconnect until you won't be able to disconnect from the FortiClient that has been installed on their system until password is provided to them by the IT management team. So what I want us to ensure is that we have zero show security posture tag of, so this has to be enabled, which is very important. Then every other thing let's just save it. Then coming to ZTNA destination profile, you can create new and you can leave it as default. In creating new or using default, you want to ensure that this eye is open so that the users can see the ZTNA destination on their end. But all in all, in doing the manage policy, whether you are using default or you are creating new policy, you can assign group. So let's create new policies now. So in creating new policies, we can assign, let's say, new policy. So we can these are the profiles that we set up. But for the ZTNA, you can select your ZTNA profile if you want to use the web featuring, the malware protection, sandboxing, and all that. You need to set them up and come and add them in the policy here. Then under users here, groups, you can add groups and also assign from Active Directory, assign all the groups, and once you assign them, click them, save. So all your group members would get these policies. But I'm going to be using default on this. This is my default policy, and I have the ZTNA profile that I set up. I have it selected here. Every other things can also be selected if you set them up. So if you come to this profile, you see web featuring, video featuring, vulnerability scan, malware protection, sandbox. All these things can be set up for your users to be able to enjoy maximum protection by default. So once this is set up and we have the zero trust tags configured and set up. So if you come to the end users system, you can see most of the policies that has been received by the end user. You can see vulnerability scan. You can scan the system to detect application vulnerabilities. You can see that the system is connected, and we have ZTNA destinations that have been configured before. Then you can come to the user's page and see the security posture tags that the user is currently compliant with. So we have the antivirus update, OS version, Windows 11. All of these things are complete. The user is compliant with them, and if the user is not compliant with them, you won't see the tags on this page, which is very, very important for providing access to your users. So now one of the things we also want to do now is to now go back to FortiGate, then set up the the ZTNA. So for instance, the FortiGate would have synced with the FortiClient EMS and receive those security posture tags for your users. Then you can be able to use it to enforce, enforce policies, access to machines or to servers or applications within the environment. So these are the tags that has been collected from the EMS. So come to ZTNA server. Let's create new. The first one we want to create is for this web server, which is 10.15.13.20. Then coming to FortiGate, let's create new. Let's create web server 1. Then the interface can be any. And the public IP address would definitely be the IP address that is similar to the first one, which is the web.ztna.com port 9443, which is this. So we go back to Fort. So click on paste this, put the port there. Then we want to enable this SAML authentication and click on select. So you need a certificate. I'll use the default one, which is the Fortinet factory. Then the service server mapping. We'll use the HTTPS mode. There's TCP forwarding. There's CASB, which is accessing your remote your applications in the cloud. HTTP. We are using HTTPS. Then use 10. So what's the 10.15.13.220 on port 443. Okay. Then click OK. So once this is set up, we want to go to firewall policies, create new, then web server 1. So incoming interface will be the public facing interface. Outgoing interface will be where the server belongs to, which is port 1. Then source would definitely be all. And, now we need to now select a group, which is want sales group to be able to have access to web server 1. Then select security posture tag. They must be able to have antivirus enabled on IP tag. Then they are managed by EMS. And one more thing, Windows 11. So you can have these posture tags, enable. So this is all of this has to be met, and you can also create a combination of and or for the sake of having a tighter security posture. Then destination has to be in this type you need to select ZTNA instead of standard. Select ZTNA instead of standard. Then is there any of or all of? So you can select any of these if the user meets any of these security tags, fine. Or you want to enforce all, they have to meet all of this. I'll leave it as any for now. Then the ZTNA server, select web server. Then what else? You can now leverage your security profiles, web application firewall, profiles, and all of every other thing here. Then you can then do a deep inspection check or certificate inspection, but you need to ensure that your certificate installed for trusting them very well. So for here would also enable intrusion prevention, IPS, which is to protect server, all sessions, okay. So now we've tested this. So in testing this, from the remote point of view, we want to ensure that every other thing has been put in place. So we want to test this. So we'll go to the user system. 1 minute. So open your browser, paste in the URL, which is the ZTNA Gateway. Press enter, select the certificates and click OK. And click OK. Then enter your username, password, then so we have access to the server we're trying to access remotely. We set up that one. The second one we want to do is to, let's set up the second. Let's use this as second one. So in setting up the second server, let's go to policy and object, ZTNA policy. Then let's go create new, still the same web server 2. Then any. So instead of 9443, we change it to 8443 here. I'll paste the IP address, SAML and SAML authentication. Then use this default as factory. Then put the IP address of the second one, which is 10.13.13.160, which is your dot 40, which is your second web server. Then click OK. Then we will want to firewall policies under here, create. You can copy this and paste at the top. So name it web server 2. ZTNA incoming as this guy, source as all. Group will be the second group, which is finance team, and ZTNA server with web server 2 for them. Then we'll click just all sessions and OK. So once this is set up, I'll try and de-authenticate this one so that. So let's look at
I've
this.
already authenticated
I've already authenticated on this server. Let's see if we're going to be able to access
So
it.
so we have let's put at port 8
port
443.
8443.
Next the certificate.
Let's the certificates. Bam.
ZTNA policy,
ZTNA policy.
Username is Wally.
Username is
With this, I can access.
With this, I can't access.
I won't be able to access the server because the group that belongs to is this finance
group.
So what we need to do now,
is to go to the FortiGate gates and FortiAuthenticator, and just just for the sake of this video, let's de-authenticate the Wally so we can use the same device to log in. So let's de-authenticate this and come to FortiAuthenticator and log off. So now let's close the browser
and
open it again.
Then Ctrl V,
Then
into H440,
change to H440.
enter. So select the certificate.
Click OK. Click OK.
So we have this.
Administrator.
Administrator. The second server that belongs to the NAS team, and the administrator is part of the member.
part of the member.
Then so this administrator, I did
This
provision for
administrator, I
support of the
did provision
administrator,
for
so you want
support of
to
administrator, so you
two-factor
want for
authentication,
two-factor authentication,
login.
login.
Now we have been access to our web server, which is this.
Which is yeah. If you so if you come to FortiGate, yeah, you can see Bowale has access to have access to come here. So Bowale have access to 160, which is a web server behind it, and the administrator have access to 240, and there is deny for Bowale on that particular port. If this video has helped you, and if you think it's something worth it, kindly put a thumbs up, subscribe for more video. So with this, you have been able to successfully configure remote access for your users using ZTNA and integrating SAML authentication from FortiGate to FortiAuthenticator.